trying to clear.
Let's spend 14 billion.
Linda, my point is this:
1.7 trillion.
let all of us protect the rule. In fact, this BBI, we didn't need it if all the presidential contenders would come and say, I will accept the election results. But you cannot come here and tell us, Moi have rigged me. You cannot come here and tell us, Kibaki have rigged me. You cannot come here and tell us, Uhuru have rigged me. You are now about to tell us, Ruto have rigged me.
Gentlemen.
No.
Thank you so much.
We have to respect the rule of the land.
Honorable Member of County Assembly, Chinga Ward, that is in Nyeri County, right? That is Honorable Kiruga Thuku and Ben Kinuthia, who's a lawyer. Asante sana for the great insights as we look forward to another session. And we keep talking about these things because it's incumbent upon us to deliberate on the same, and out of it we pick points that could be helpful when we are making those crucial decisions of forging forward. After this break, we come back with a different conversation on matters of funds, youth funds, women funds that are available out there in the county, in the constituencies, that probably many of us have no idea about. What do you need to take advantage of the same, and how do they come in handy to make sure that you're cushioned and you're able to set up something that would be helpful, as opposed to always waiting for the government to create job opportunities. After this break.
Raukia siku njema na tunukiwa offers kila siku. Pata offers zote mahali pamoja ili uongee zaidi, utume SMS zaidi na ubrowse zaidi.
Wewe usijali. Tuma namba ya kila supplier kwa hiyo soko. Ndio nitaongea na kila mmoja wao.
Very good. Piga *444# utunukiwe Credo double.
Raukia siku njema na tunukiwa offers kila siku.
Oh, hi. It's not what you're thinking. It's a cup of coffee. Coffee, movie. Together, coffee with movie. Every Sunday, 8 p.m. on TV 47, where we bring you interesting, enticing people. Well, we've concentrated on musicians.
Yeah.
Producers.
So now I manage, because telemanagement and events management, I think was my passion.
Right about now, we want to go beyond to the counties and to other countries. I'll see you. Let the sun stand still like Joshua time for 3 hours, but this time for only 1 hour. We bring you coffee with movie. Interesting, enticing guests. I'll see you. Tunaanza tuna Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, twende Uganda, Magufuli Land, TZ, you never know. It is coffee with movie. Jua unaweza enda sasa.
Okay.
Before the markets open, farmers begin their day, each with the desire to produce the best. But how can they increase the numbers, maintain the standards,
Aitoi ile garlic inafaa itoi, that standard garlic,
reduce the cost,
We spread our risk,
and yet remain the best? Kilimo Diaries, every Sunday when the clock hits 7:30 p.m. The story continues to unfold.
Hey! Hey, someone here!
The race to win Abel's heart continues.
Mwanamke ataniona, Abel is mine. Mwanamke mgani ni nani huyo na nini mbaya?
The betrayal.
Manze chinja hakuna blanda sasa ni huyu yule madam pale hivi sasa.
And the secrets.
Jenny, si nikwambia napenda Abel. Nampenda tena sana. Nashindwa venye nitaanza. Lakini nashindwa nitaanza aje.
Usichekeshe.
Plan ya siri every Saturday at 8 p.m. Did you know that your business keeps our economy running?
You need the skill, not the papers.
Always tell yourselves, one day at a time. You can't do everything under one roof.
Over time, I've had to realize that good things take time.
The Grind, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. As the country gears up for possible BBI referendum and 2022 general elections.
As the salvos enter too familiar territory,
Well, to expand access to credit for the promotion of youth and women businesses and enterprises at the constituency level, and thereby also enhance economic growth towards realization of the goals of Vision 2030. The government has set up many funding programs across the counties, the constituencies, different places in the country. And I mean, just to seek to it that, or to ensure that at least the youths are able to take advantage of this and, you know, stop crying about the aspect of lack of employment, but focus much on, you know, creation of employment. But just how many of us are privy to this information, and how many of us take advantage of the same, and how easily accessible are these is what we'll be discussing this morning. And we look to access the same and just get you on board having all these questions or asking these questions, because we have a specialist on board who handles such matters, and equally we have a beneficiary of some of these funding programs that have been set by the government. And so we just get to understand, what do you need to qualify for the same? What do you need to do to ensure that you get same? I mean, how do you get to the grassroots? How do you get to the respective counties to make sure that you take advantage of the same? We have had reports of the fact that some of these funds go back to the national government simply because they have not been accessed. Why is this the case? Is it because we lack ideas? Is it because we have no idea, or we have no information as to what needs to be done? So let's get to have all these questions answered right here on the second segment of Morning Cafe. The hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela at TV47KA. We value your feedback, your questions. We sample them as we get to proceed with the broadcast. And joining me for this conversation, ladies first or men before? Which is best? Lucy Wangui is the owner of Hilux Enterprise Limited, based in Utawalam. She's a beneficiary of some of these programs that have been set by the government, and therefore she'll be telling us her story and, you know, how she's taken advantage of this and whether it is coming in handy, what she needed to part way with, what she needed to do to make sure that she's able to access the same. And alongside her is Benson Thani, who is the CEO of our Enterprise Development Fund in Nairobi. He will also be the person that we put to task to answer some of these questions, or majority of these questions that we speak about. So when we speak about the youth funds on board, what exactly are we looking at? We are looking at the likes of Wezo, we're looking at the likes of, CDF and so much so. Just what exactly is at our disposal? Sir.
Thank you very much. The government has set aside several affirmative action funds to support young people, women, and persons with disability to access credit to be able to start or expand enterprises. Now, one of these affirmative action funds is the Youth Enterprise Development Fund. Now, the Youth Enterprise Development Fund is a flagship project of Vision 2030. It was established in the year 2006 to support young entrepreneurs who are keen to establish enterprises, who who are keen to expand enterprises.
Yeah.
And the reason why it was established is so as to support young people so that they can be job creators as opposed to being job seekers. And to date, we have supported very many young people. I'll be giving the details. Through financing and through business development services, including entrepreneurship training, mentorship, coaching, market linkages, market support, and basically being able to support young people with ideas, being able to help them move the ideas from one point to another. Yes.
Briefly share about what it is that you're doing, Lucy, and tell us how you have managed to, secure credits out of this program that is in existence.
Thank you very much for inviting me. As you said, my name is Lucy Wangwe, Director, HILAC Enterprises Limited. HILAC is a supply company, basically. And for me, it's a company that has grown from zero, from 2013, done so many things, tried so many things. So people should not just wake up and think that HILAC just started yesterday. And when I established HILAC, I didn't actually know what I would do with it. I was just a girl then, trying to... Still are a girl? Right? No, not much of a girl. But I was trying to figure out, after college, I did human resources. I was in the process of juggling to get a job. I don't know what much I wanted. The jobs I'm getting are not being satisfactory. You're not getting a job of what you actually did in school. So I just established HILAC. And I would start a small journey of what I started doing with HILAC. By then, I started with a product called tire sealant, something that people didn't even know. Maybe you've never even heard of it. You're hearing it for the first time today. And but it was a product that even the market didn't receive so well because they didn't know what basically is. What is this? Surprisingly, that product. Not selling it anymore, but surprisingly, you see, like nowadays, the cars we get in our back, we're getting those products that when you have a tire burst, you can just put them in your tire, and it's not much of a burst. It's called what? The air. When it's sucking out, you just seal it until you get to the next stop to fill it up. But it was not well accepted in the market, so I just had to quit on that product. HILAC was still had a dream of in the supply market. So I went to the next product, which is now in the market. It's called Treetop. Treetop, the juice. I was a main supplier in Nairobi with my friend Bernard when he was starting up. But now also issue came up because you realize in supplies you have to stock the product, and then when you stock the product you sell to the client on credit. Yes. So what involves the market is huge, but sometimes you're overwhelmed by resources because you cannot get on debt on the other side, and then you have to wait until they exhaust not even the stock. You have to buy from the supplier, stock. The customer has to exhaust, then you sell. You see, and when they buy, they don't buy on cash. It's on credit. So you need to have a lot of stock. And down the line, also that one, now it was also a startup company when it was also starting to grow. And then finally I got to the current job that I do with HILAC. I supply flower packaging into the flower industry. So there are those materials the flower industry use. These rubber bands. I will know you will be surprised. Rubber bands are marketable. You don't just use them to sell to seal cash. That's what people use.
Sometimes you're here. Let's be honest here.
Yes, because a lot of people think when I tell people I sell rubber bands, they're like,
Bladder.
Bladder, aje. You know, but rubber bands are sellable in the market because there's a huge market for them, and other packaging materials that are used in the flower industry. And then when I started that, also, the market is huge. You have to stock again because I'm not a manufacturer.
Yeah.
So in between juggling, and I saw this is a big market for me. I don't know whether it's by God's grace or by default. I was just passing by KICC at some point, and I found a youth fund stand there. They were giving out leaflets and all that. I'm just a normal Kenyan. I've heard of youth fund. Sometimes we don't believe in government stuff. I know he's here.
Most of the time we don't.
So most of the time we don't. But I just picked the leaflet and left. In my process of juggling with this business, it's picking up, it's doing well. The small cash is not enough. Sometimes you're overwhelmed by orders. What do? I went back, I just saw the leaflet and decided, why not walk in this office? So I being a small company, being a director, I just sat down with myself. I looked for a few friends because you cannot do everything on your own. I looked for a friend who can do me a very good business proposal. Probably they are watching. I just told them, I have this idea, youth fund, I've seen their offices in Upper Hill. I just need you help me write a very good proposal. This is my business. This is what I've been doing. I've been doing records, I sell, so I have my invoices. And also, before now we go to the youth fund, what I would tell people, when you're doing a business, you have your own dream of the business, right? You do your own company profile, you know what you want to do. And then the first thing I realized that was key when I was doing my proposal was you have to have a bank account.
Hold it right there. Hold it right there. We're coming back for the rest of the story so that we do not let the CEO hanging.
Okay.
I can see how he's excited about this, and to even imagine that there's a successful story and a person who's willing to speak about it. But just who qualifies for this funds that we're speaking about? I mean, we speak of women, we speak of persons with disability, we speak of youths, but reality, even from what it is that she tells us, you don't just wake up and go there and say, I'm a youth and I'm a woman, an added advantage, and so I qualify for this.
Okay, now thank you. The Youth Enterprise Development Fund. Now you can see the function of the entity from the name, Youth Enterprise Development Fund, meaning it is a fund that supports youth to develop enterprises.
Yes. So even if you're starting from scratch?
Even if you're starting from scratch.
Okay.
So what we do is, one, according to Article 55 of the Kenyan Constitution, a youth is a person who is above the age of 18, but not yet 35. So that defines who our customer is. Then from there, then you must be either in business or you want to get into entrepreneurship. That's another defining factor.
Okay.
And so what we do, we give loans to young people in various formations. There are those like her who have borrowed as an individual. Then we have others who come to us as groups. If you're in a group of 5 people, and as long as the group is registered, we shall give you a loan as a group. And for groups, we start them with 100,000 shillings. Then once you've repaid 100,000 shillings, we double that to 200,000. Then you go up to 1 million Kenya shillings.
Okay.
And for groups, it's very flexible because these are beginners most of the times, people who have no business experience, but within the group, they're able to incubate each other, they're able to share experiences, they're able to get mentors, who push them along. And most of the times, from our experience, is that along the way, the individuals within a group begin to open their own enterprises.
Okay.
And we also support them now as individuals.
Okay.
Now, the other loan you will get as an individual, or as a company, as partnership, whatever formation, as long as it's legally recognized. And this is the loan that she got. It's called VUCA. VUCA, we start people from 100,000 up to 2 million shillings for the first loan. Then once you have repaid that first loan, you can take a second loan of 5 million shillings.
Okay.
And within that VUCA loan, you can get asset financing. Asset financing meaning, and she has applied for that facility, she'll tell you. And I think tomorrow she'll be getting her loan. Is that if you're in business, for instance, and you need to buy machinery, you need to buy a vehicle, probably for distribution and so on, then we're able to finance that asset, and that asset becomes its own security. Then we also have what we call agribusiness loans for youth who are in agriculture. We have talent-based loans for youth in the creative arts, those who are in music, those who are in acting, basically performing arts.
With different criteria, or criterion to the persons who are eligible, and maybe a little bit softer, because I can tell you that out of tangible stuff, when you're selling something, you're likely to get returns pretty fast in comparison to those who are in the world of talent, and so the payment modes. Also.
No, it's yes, I agree with you. Yeah. If you're in tangible areas like creative arts, it's a little bit complicated. Yeah. Being able to prove that, first of all, you understand what you're doing, and two, that you have capacity to repay. However, you're able to sit with our officers, and and they're able to help you package yourself, so that then the idea is bankable and the idea is fundable. Then the other loan we have is what we call LPO loans. And for LPO loans, you've heard of AGPO, affirmative procurement for youth enterprises, which was launched by the president, where 30% of government tenders go to youth, women, and persons with disability. So we established a loan facility specifically to support youth who get government tenders. And what you do is, if you go to a government entity and they give you a tender, say to supply things worth 1 million shillings or even 200,000 shillings, we finance you up to 70,000 of the value of that tender. Okay. Then maybe you may ask, why not 100%? No, why not 100% is because 30% we assume is your profit, so we don't need to finance your profit. We only finance you to be able to
your processing.
To be able to supply. So basically those are our loan products, and that is the eligibility.
Okay.
But we don't have an omnibus. You can say that if you do this, you will get the loans. It depends on individual. It also depends on what business you are in. It also depends on probably your own interpretation of your own business. So we always encourage young people that when you feel like you either want to expand your business or you want to start an enterprise, the best thing is to visit our offices. We have offices here in Nairobi, Upper Hill area. Yes. However, even in the rural areas, every county level, every county headquarters, we have officers at the DC's office, at the county commissioner's office. Right. And we always encourage youth to visit our offices, sit with our officers, because they take you through, they listen to your story, and they are able to engage you and advise you on what angle to approach.
All right, back to you,
Lucy.
And so you march into this place and
Yeah, I march into this place. I've already done my proposal from a friend.
You have a bank account.
I have a bank account. Yeah. The business has been running. I have my documentation, like you have your delivery notes, you have your invoices, and I say I'm going into this office. The beauty about these people, not even, I think most of the government offices, people don't know. You get into our website, you know who is who. Who is who in the of who runs what in the irrespective of the department. So I just went to your fund very innocently and very boldly, I would say. I was just bold enough, not knowing anyone. I just went and looked for a person I had checked on the online on the website, and I say, I want to see Mr. So-and-so. I walked in and I presented my document. I said, this is what I do, this is my company, this is what I have, and this is what I want. I wanted a loan. So from there, he just guided me and gave me an officer, because I'm from Nairobi. My business is based in Nairobi area. So he had just to assign me, as the CEO has said, an officer who would now take me through and now determine how much I was to get from my business. Because being a startup, it's a startup loan. I'm not getting a top up or anything. So they have to look at your business and advise so that if you qualify for 100,000, 200, and above, as they said, up to about 2 million
Yes.
for a start.
Yeah.
So the officer took me through, and I got, and surprisingly, the first loan I got from Youth Fund was 1 million.
Wow.
From my business background, from my
Yeah.
business record, they said my business would qualify. I had actually requested for about 1.8 from my proposal.
All right.
But now they say my business qualify for 1 million.
No
For
guarantors, no nothing. What?
no guarantor, but for 1 million, they said it needs a security.
Okay.
And the beauty also I found about Youth Fund, for security, you don't have to own the property.
Okay.
You can go and ask someone,
yeah.
and they can
come in
guarantee
as a
you
guarantor.
as long as the property is genuine. They send a valuer, they evaluate the if it's a title deed or whatever security you give in, and it really helped me a lot. That was the first facility I got from Youth Fund.
And so thereafter,
Yes.
do you follow up to see whether she's putting this money to use? Because again, you can get excited with the money, especially when you're taking it as an individual as opposed to a group, and probably just channel all this fund somewhere else. And you know, this risks a scenario where she probably would not be able to pay this loan on time, and you know, those discrepancies and the problems that would arise. And I'd want to believe that you want her to pay so that at least other youths can be able to access the same, and she can as well come for more.
You asked whether we do follow.
Yes, or you let
yes,
them go.
we follow.
and believe.
We follow. Actually, we follow up a lot with them. Even people like Lucy, whom we have financed, we try to reach out as many times as possible. Once we have a platform where we're talking to young people, we will invite them, give them that platform to be able to encourage the young people.
At a fee.
Yes. No. It's literally they don't charge. And the beauty of it is, like now when she's here, she knows she's able to reach out to very many young people. And they're able to learn from her experience. Because for a lot of people, they just want to hear someone who's done it, somebody who has succeeded. And you know, they begin to get confidence that I can also be able to do it. Then the other thing is that repaying the loan is not even to our advantage. Yes, it is to our advantage.
Yes.
Because then we get money to be able to lend to other young people. But it is to her advantage. Why is it to her advantage? Because she's establishing a track record for herself. That once you see, like now she's told you she has completed paying the 1 million Kenya shillings. Now she's come back to us
For more.
and she said she wants to venture into construction, and she wants to be financed to buy a truck.
Wow.
Which we are processing and which we hope to be able to release to her probably tomorrow.
Nice.
And what I'm saying then is, had she not paid the first loan properly,
Then it could be tricky for her to get
it could be
that.
tricky for her to get the second loan. Then even when she's out of youth age and she wants financing, you see, nowadays we have things we call CRB and so on and so forth, which you know, financiers will use to measure your credit worthiness. So if you're not paying on this end, then you're spoiling your record
On
for the
this
future.
end. Interest rates.
Yeah. Interest rate?
Yes.
Most of our loans have no interest
So
whatsoever.
it's zero. I think that people need to
However,
know
for a loan, a business expansion loan like the one she's taken, the interest is 6%.
6% only.
Yes, 6%.
Okay, that's fair enough, right?
Fair enough. And payment in 5 years.
Okay.
Like when the 1
But
million.
wait a minute. When did you get this loan that you speak of?
The first one I got
Yes.
it last year.
Last year.
Yes.
So 5 years are not done. So you're not done paying. Or there are times when you can get a bulk amount of money, and so you go and
like the one when you given, probably in my case, the 1 million was a 5-year loan payment.
But you got.
So what happened is, in 5 years, you realize 1 million for youth fund per month. I was paying about 22,000 shillings.
Okay.
So I'm supposed to, as a youth, I benefit from that, because if I'm paying 22 in 5 million and I've restock, I am able to manage myself. I'm able to
stay afloat at least. Yes.
In 5 years, it's a long time. But now also along the way, you realize maybe you need more, or what, maybe you have another product, or you need a top up. And in my case, as he mentioned, like now I realized I needed to venture into something else, and then went back to them. I approached them for advice first. I didn't just go and tell them I want this. No, I told them I've gotten this other idea, because my other business is still running. I still can venture into something else under HELAC, and this is what I'm getting. I'm getting maybe a contract on this. Can you help me out? And then they advised me I can get the asset financing. But now for me to get the asset financing, because it's more higher than the loan I get, I have to clear up the previous loan, because you cannot have two loans concurrently. Which is basically everywhere, and it makes sense because you cannot be able to manage two accounts at the same time. So I went back to them, they advised me, and they told me for asset financing they can finance me up to this amount, and that's where we are. Right now.
Well, congratulations. How about we take a short break and then we come back, expound some more on that. We probably want to understand what could be informing this kind of apathy, let me use that word, that we do not have youths going out there to access some of these loans. And is there a proper sensitization and capacity building program set on your end that would get the youths understand of what it is that is available of them and how they can come in to take advantage of the same after this break?
Raukia siku njema na tunukiwa offers kila siku. Pata offers zote mahali pamoja ili uongee zaidi, utume SMS zaidi na ubrowse zaidi.
Wewe usijali. Tuma namba ya kila supplier kwa hiyo soko. Ndio nitaongea na kila mmoja wao.
Very good. Piga *444# utunukiwe Credo double.
Raukia siku njema na tunukiwa offers kila siku.
Oh, hi. It's not what you're thinking. It's a cup of coffee. Coffee, movie. Together, coffee with movie. Every Sunday, 8 p.m. on TV 47, where we bring you interesting, enticing people. Well, we've concentrated on musicians.
Yeah.
Producers.
So now I manage, because telemanagement and events management, I think was my passion.
Right about now, we want to go beyond to the counties and to other countries. Let the sun stand still like Joshua Times for 3 hours, but this time for only 1 hour. We bring you coffee with movie, interesting, enticing guests. Tunaweza anza tuna Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, twende Uganda, Magufuli Land, TZ, you never know. It is coffee with movie. Jua unaweza enda sasa.
Okay.
Before the markets open, farmers begin their day, each with a desire to produce the best. But how can they increase the numbers, maintain the standards,
Aitoi ile garlic inafaa itoi, that standard garlic,
reduce the cost,
we spread our risk,
and yet remain the best? Kilimo Diaries, every Sunday when the clock hits 7:30 p.m. The story continues to unfold. The race to win Abel's heart continues.
Huyo mwanamke ataniona, Abel is my
Welcome back to the broadcast. Still with me, Lucy Wangoi, or the director of Hilux Enterprise Limited based in Utawala, and Benson Muthrengi, who's the CEO, Youth Enterprise Development Fund in Nairobi. And yes, as you've heard that's exactly what we are discussing this morning, looking at just how best you can get to access some of these funds or these programs that the government has set up as a youth for you to go out, take advantage, and maybe set up something or keep your business running. Right before we went for break, I mean, the main question, or maybe the main point that Lucy raises here is the fact that, sometimes we just, let me say, perish because of lack of knowledge. And maybe sometimes there's the knowledge and there's fear of the unknown. Do you suppose that could be the key thing that informs the fact that today we speak of these funds being in existence, but almost, a small percentage of youths taking advantage of them?
Basically, I would say one is the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Two is this mentality, especially nowadays. I would say that the youth, I am one of them, and I'm always so passionate about them. And beside business, I really talk to people. And also maybe when I meet, I always try to get a chance to talk to people and tell them this mentality of saying the government this, the government that, the government. Yes, we have a problem, which basically is out there. But as yourself, what are you doing? Have you taken advantage of what is there on offer? Have you tried? Probably for me, I was able to walk in a youth office boldly and tell them, this is what at least I had something on the table to offer. I tell them, this is what I have, this is what I'm doing, I need this. And maybe also when they look at that and then they say, these youth, they send an officer to look at my business and all that. But a lot of youth out there, maybe if we start up something, what they really undermine. You think that for you to get a loan, you have to have this company registered and all that. Nowadays, and I'm not advertising government, but on eCitizen, you can go and even register a business name of whatever you're doing. Start from there. What is on the table? You can start and say you sell clothes. Yes, this is what I do. I go and register. This is my business name. It doesn't have eCitizen. I think registering a business is 700 shillings, probably. And you start from there. You start from registration. You say, I sell fruits, I sell clothes. This is what I do. This is my business. This is where I start. I've registered the name. This is what I sell. This is the small stock I have. Today I've made a sale of 3, right? I've documented. This is the amount I've gotten. This is my profit. This is what I get back to the business. This is what, you're able to arrange yourself from there. So that by the time you're getting into any financial institution, and especially when you take advantage of the youth fund, because this is what we are talking about, beside the bank and everything else. By the time I'm going to youth fund, I have something to show that I'm doing. Because you cannot just walk, and I'm sure the CEO maybe will also explain, as much as we have these funds, you cannot just wake up and say, there's money for the youth, we want it. But you have to show there's something, even in the business plan, there's something you can do, there's something you've started. You have a procedure of how, by the time you're getting this money, this is what you're going to do. We are also failing in terms of when you get the money, right? I've applied for money in youth fund. As an individual, as a group, what do you do?
Right.
You see, you're given. Yes, you've qualified and you've been given the money. What do the youth do? Probably. And I always tell them, I'm not perfect in money management. Let me tell you, by the way, in my business, I am an employee.
You work as much
I
as
work.
Get salary, yes.
I am salaried, as in I have to have payment in my business. I don't just wake up and say, I have been given a loan by youth fund. I have 1 million shillings. So I can go to Mombasa. I can, no. I put the money in the business. I have I have QuickBook accounts.
Right.
In that, I have my salary. I am an employee. In my business, I employ people on casual basis. in that monthly allocation, I have to make sure I have to pay these people at the end of the month.
Okay.
Whether they come in 2 days or 3 days, I have to set aside that money. That is my business money. It is not my money.
Right.
That is where we fail. Because once we are given money, as an individual, as a group, what do we do with the money? Like the CEO said, if you're doing the follow-up, you said you want to add stock. Did you add stock? Is your stock, even if not all, amounting to something similar to what you got?
Okay.
Yes. That's where I would imagine that is where most of the people, once even if they get the money, that's where they fail. But before we also get the money, what are you doing prior? I tell people, even that sukuma wiki you sell, it's a business.
Right.
You have to raise yourself from there. By the time you go even to that local chama that you're getting money, you have to show them, this is what I am doing. So by the time you're getting to youth fund, you have to tell them, this is what I've been doing. I am stuck here because I don't have resources. Then they can be able to quantify your business with what they are going to give you. But before you get there, don't rant and say youth fund does not give money. What have you done? Probably, what have you done? Well, I was advantaged. I took the risk. I would say it's a risk because I didn't know anyone. But I tried where I could because I know these resources are set aside for you, the youth. But when I say youth fund kazi yao ni kukula pesa, I would say, have you tried?
CEO, what makes them not try? Is it the fact that they do not have this information, they're not privy to information, there's not been proper capacity building and sensitization, civic education given to them, or is it that they lack the business ideas? Just words.
There are several reasons.
Okay.
One, in the past, our education system has laid an emphasis on employment.
Yeah.
That you go to school to get a job. So anytime we complete school, we want to get a job. And even your parents, when you graduate from university and you say you want to start business, they ask you, then you should have told us not to take you to college. You should have started business with the money that we took you to college.
You to school.
You see that, that in itself. Then it's another thing, yeah? Business is not like employment. You are employed and your cameraman here is employed. I am employed. And one of the easiest things with employment is that we wake up in the morning,
you're making
we go to the office, we go to the office.
Because she knows she's the only one who's an employer here, all right?
So we wake up in the morning, we go to the office, your work is to sweep from here up to here.
Yes.
You sweep, and once you are swept, you sit down, take tea. It becomes dirty, you sweep again. In the evening, you go home. It is so easy. Now, business is not like that. Business is very lonely. Business is a commitment. Business is a sacrifice. And so that's why you keep hearing people saying, people who are employed like you and I, that I want to start business. But they'll never start. 5 years down the line, they have not started. 10 years down, because you're going into a world unknown. Because it's about sacrifice. And the loss that is likely to come is personal to you. And unlike employment, where you are in that job, you are not risking anything, you are not making any sacrifice. But in business, any loss you incur is personal. And any injury is personal unto you. And so therefore, before we make that leap to go into business, it is usually a challenge. Then the other challenge is, like you mentioned, getting to know the right business to start, and especially in a certain environment. Because there are many of us who want to copycat, that because I have seen her selling flower packaging, I also want to do flower packaging. Or because I've seen somebody selling kerosene, I also want to start selling kerosene, but I'm selling in an environment where kerosene has no market. You see? So those are issues. So what we're encouraging our youth to do is, if you feel you would want to start a business and you don't know where to start, in fact, don't start like her. She began by looking for someone to help her do a proposal. Don't start like her. Just first of all, come to us, sit with us. We'll sit with you, we'll go through what you want to do, we'll help you, concretize your idea, then from there you can pick it up. And we do run a lot of clinics around the country.
Yeah.
Basically encouraging young people, training them, educating them on how you identify business ideas, how you manage your business, what kind of records do you keep, the importance of those records, and so on. And we link young people to mentors. People like Lucy who have been there before, they can be able to advise you, they can be able to tell you these are the pitfalls, this is how to avoid them, and so on. So I would say, even though there's information out there that young people are not coming for loans, young people are coming for loans.
Oh, no, that's good.
Because and how we gauge ourselves according to resources that we have. Yes. For instance, this financial year, which began in July last year and ending at the end of June, our target is to lend 575 million shillings to youth across the country. So far, we have done about 550 million.
Oh.
Meaning, even with 3 months still to come, I'm almost meeting my target for lending. Meaning young people are coming for the money.
All right. Are there limits to these targets? Are there times where you surpass the target and there's still more for them?
Usually we work around the target, but this year we project we're going to surpass the target by far. Good. And then the other thing is, and I would want to encourage people, don't judge young people and say these young people are not going for loans, because we are not all born for business. Yes. It's not in all of us to do business. And I keep getting calls from my friends. They go to their local shopping centers, they see idle youth, and they call me and they ask me, which youth are you financing? We see idle youth here. We see idle youth here. Why can't you give them the money? You see, who said in the first place they want to do business? Because it's not everybody who wants to get into business. It's not everybody who probably has capacity to get into business.
Right.
All of us are looking for different things. There are people who are looking for kazi ya mkono. There are people who are looking for kazi ya kukaa kwa computer and do things on your own without interruption from anyone. Right. There are people who are looking for people's job, where you sit with people and do things. There are people who want to just go into sales, kazi yao ni kuuza, and there are people who want to run enterprises, take risks, make decisions. So you see, we are all different. So I think the challenge now is to identify those young people who probably have that acumen to do business and probably mentor them and support them and finance them. So that
briefly, before we come back to Lucy, in the event that, like for her, she's working with you so well, and something that is commendable, but over time, she surpasses the bracket of youth, that is past 35.
Yes.
In the event that she comes back to you and tells you, you know what, in as much as I've surpassed, let's assume that, Hila was being handled by a man, because at least she'd probably get an advantage as a woman. What happens?
Now, once you
surpass the bracket, whether you've been an ardent customer.
The age bracket, you have passed.
There's no question about that.
You said it is defined even by the name Youth and Enterprise Development Fund. And we said youth is also defined in the Constitution.
Okay.
And so once you surpass that age, you have surpassed. However, we expect that by the time you are going beyond 35, you have graduated into in the financial products offered by the financial institutions.
But she can come in as a woman now and say that.
Now she can go to the Women Enterprise Fund. We have the Women Enterprise Fund, and we also have a Wezo Fund. She can go into the Women Enterprise Fund, where she can be able now to borrow as a woman. Yes.
How much more? So when we're looking at the age bracket, say someone is 34. Almost clocking 35. If they're coming for a loan, are they eligible? No.
You're eligible. We look at the date of application.
Okay.
Even if you will be 35 tomorrow and you apply today, you applied when you were youth. So we still give you the loan.
All right, Lucy, how much more do you intend to capitalize on this? And what are you doing in your own capacity to get people to know that, speak to the youth down there that this is in existence? Why don't you take advantage of it as we close?
I find myself, like I told you, being involved with so many people. I actually tell them sometimes when I meet the officer, I tell them, you will pay me. Because I really I wouldn't seek payment, because what I've benefited is more than enough. They wouldn't actually match the payment what I'm benefiting, because when they give me 1 million shillings and I go and purchase goods and sell them and they give me extra more, it's more than enough. But when I meet youth, I tell them, do you know, the first question actually when I'm talking to youth, I ask them, do you know about youth fund? Wow. Do you know these resources are there? I talk to women. I ask them, do you know about Women Fund? But now we are talking. Those are two different entities. And ask them, do you know about it? Have you ever heard about? Some have, some haven't. And I told them, as much as we have officers into the sub-counties, they need now to emphasize more to those, not just a youth going to the office, they now need to do grassroots education approach, because not everyone will get the advantage of going into the county office. So they need, or the constituency office, they need to emphasize more. But on my personal level, I ask them and then I advise them. Before you get to this stage, you need to do this. Because one lesson, and I keep repeating and I'll repeat again, one lesson I've learned, record. You have to keep records. But also if you're planning to enter also in business, you need to have a very thick skin of business. As the CEO said, it's not for everyone. You'll meet people, some don't even want to listen to you. They don't even want to know what you're selling. That is business for you. But you don't give up because you didn't sell yesterday. You have to wake up. Two, you sell to people, they don't pay you. Yes, like I said on my end, I thank God so far. It's not bad. But you find yourself in a situation, maybe for another youth out there, people have invested into not just a private company. We also go back to government. We have youths who have invested in government. They are really disappointed. We also would ask and urge the CEO, because he's also in government, he should also talk to this government institution now, because you get money from youth fund, you supply,
but they don't pay you.
But they don't pay you on time. What are you expected to do?
I hope message is home. I really hope message is
home. Yes. You also find, like when you're dealing with the private sector, you have an agreement with people. Okay, basically the maximum you give people payment is 45 days. But what happens if they don't pay you after 45 days? Yes.
So I guess we leave you with a task to work on. Lucy Wangoi, owner of Hilux Enterprise Limited based in Utawala, and also a beneficiary of the Youth Enterprise Development Fund. Quite an interesting story right there, and a case study. I mean, these things are out here. It is possible for them, for you to access them. Why don't you take advantage of them? And to even imagine that you started, without knowing someone is reason enough for us to say, you know what? These things are here. This money is here. The youths need to take advantage of that. Benson Muthendi, CEO, Youth Enterprise Development Fund, Nairobi. Asante sana. I hope that someday I'll invite you again and I'll ask you how far in terms of progress are we in terms of ensuring that government pays some of these people that get youth, and then they get funds, they proceed there to do business with government, and then they tend to get disappointed. I am grateful for that moment, and also for sharing this crucial information to the people. I hope it's a time now that we take advantage, or we also grab this information and make use of the same. Up next is the ongoing procedure of getting the next Chief Justice, in as much as this is a question that has been challenged in court. Usually, we can only wait to see what plays out. Remember that declaration yesterday by the 3-judge bench that issued a barring order on the Judicial Service Commission from scoring candidates interviewed for the position of Chief Justice for onward transmission of appointment. And so this is a developing story, but all the same, the session continues today. And so we'll be crossing straight and live to that, as always.